Alright, let's go over the real world example of how an option contract works. You will see how a contract is leveraged and the importance of in the money and out of the money. Okay, so Dan is selling a house for $310,000. And John wants to buy the house for $300,000. John doesn't have enough for the house right now, but he knows by April 1st, he will have the money to buy it. Let's say that that's a few months out. He asks Dan if he can pay him $15,000 now for a call option contract. This means that Dan will hold the house for John until April 1st. If John pays him $15,000 right now to hold the house, the strike price would be $300,000. The current value of the house, let's say, is $310,000. This gives John $10,000 in intrinsic value and $5,000 in extrinsic value or premium. If John would want to exercise the contract, then John can pay Dan $300,000 on top of the $15,000 anytime before the expiration date, and then John would own the house. Now, if the housing market falls before April 1st and the house is worth only $250,000, John might want to back out by not exercising the contract, thus not paying that full strike price of $300,000 to Dan. In option terms, this would be considered out of the money because the cost of the house, $250,000, is less than the call strike price of $300,000. In this case, Dan would keep the $15,000 and John would just lose out on his $15,000, letting his contract expire worthless. Or he could possibly sell it to someone else just to limit his loss. Now, if the housing market rises, the house is now worth $360,000. Well, that changes the story. If John can afford the house at $300,000, he would maybe want to exercise the contract and buy the house at his strike price because the house is now in the money. In other words, it has $60,000 of intrinsic value now. He would possibly want to exercise the contract because the cost of the contract, that $15,000, plus the strike price, $300,000, is less than the value of the actual house. So his total cost would be $315,000, where the house is worth $360,000. So in total, John would have gotten the $360,000 house for $315,000 if he chooses to exercise his contract. But maybe John might want to sell his contract before the expiration date and not exercise the contract. With the house worth more, the value of his $15,000 contract would increase in value as well. A buyer may want to buy the contract from John for, say, $30,000. John then would make $15,000 on his $15,000 investment, never having to put up the cash to buy the $300,000 house. As mentioned in the last video, most traders don't exercise their contracts because it just takes too much buying power. So traders just simply trade the contracts rather than exercising the contracts. But it's so important to understand what exercising a contract is and how it works because of future strategies that I will show you in this section. Lastly, depending on your broker, there are fees involved when exercising option contracts. So be sure to find out all the fees that will be charged before actively trading in the options market. Options trading normally requires additional brokerage approvals as well. So please ensure your brokerage account is enabled for the correct levels of options trading you plan to use, as there are many different option strategies that require various levels of approvals. So comment if you have any questions about that, and I'll see you in the next video.